Well, joining me now is Richard Knox, who's the CEO of Verlume, and a company that I certainly know very well, but always helps to tell us a little bit about it for those who don't know.
Yeah, so at Verlume, what we do is energy management systems and underwater batteries, and primarily that's to help stabilise power from renewables. So it allows a number of renewables to be used in offshore applications that otherwise they couldn't be. So that's really kind of what we're focusing on. That helps us decarbonise existing operations, but it's given us a lot of new opportunities, and an example for offshore wind. So yeah, that's Verlume in a nutshell.
I think, even if we were talking a couple of years ago, and every company was talking about how they were planning on diversifying or embracing the energy transition, and I think now we've moved on, that we're hearing what that actually looks like, and it's been a very successful past year for Verlume in the whole renewable space, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has. It's been quite transformational for us in the last year. So, like I say, a lot of people have been talking about what's the energy system of the future going to look like. And for us, we really felt that energy storage and stabilising power was going to be fundamental to systems moving forward. So we're really fortunate to secure a contract with RWE that was based on system integration. So this wasn't more traditional decarbonisation. This was pure offshore wind, and people seeing that in the future they're going to have issues with the amount of renewable energy hitting the grid. And so to really try and help stabilise that, they needed to have some form of energy storage offshore. So we've secured the contract to build the very first large-scale megawatt-hour battery coupled to a wind turbine. So that's been quite transformational for us in terms of helping grow the business and securing investment and helping us kind of balance our work now. So 60% of our work now is based on offshore wind, and 40% is traditional infrastructure, but looking at monitoring, doing things that help people decarbonise their operations. So it's been a great year for us.
And as you say, obviously heavily involved with offshore wind, which then brings you into the whole, we had a lot of talk about the offshore wind licenses last year and the challenges there. What was your take on things?
From our perspective, in some ways, maybe not if you're the government, but it was good because the whole industry was telling everyone that just driving offshore wind auctions on price isn't the way to go. It needs to be a sustainable industry. And for the example that we had, we secured a contract in the Dutch wind farm sector, and what they were doing is they were basically taking 50% of the weighting of who won the licence based on what they call system integration, and 50% in price, and that was around the electricity that's being produced being more valuable, being able to stabilise it, being able to supply it when there was demand, so that price isn't the only driver for developing a wind farm. Ultimately, if you can have a smarter system integration approach, that's going to help drive down the cost for the end consumers rather than going specifically at driving the supply chain down to a point which is not sustainable. So I think it's giving people the opportunity to look back and maybe look at best practice around the world and how we can look at how we have auctions moving forward. So I think it's obviously in that particular instance it was not great, but it's kind of drawn a line in the sand, and people are appreciating the need to do things a bit differently.
So a level of optimism.
Oh yeah, especially from us.
Yeah, look at the future. And tell me a little bit about there's obviously a heavy tech focus at Verlume, isn't there?
Yeah. So I mean, fundamentally, the company was built up around engineers, and we've built the business around that. But I think it's been trying to identify the problems that people have had, and then build products and services around addressing those problems, and not ones that were necessarily immediate to everyone, but problems in the future. So the company's over 10 years old now, and some of the challenges and commercial contracts that we're solving now are things that we identified quite some time in the past. So yeah, it's very much kind of technology driven. Moving forward, that's where we're going to really can differentiate ourselves and create more valuable companies, more valuable businesses, not just for us, but if other people follow similar approaches, they can do the same. It's about making things a little bit smarter rather than just always pushing down cost.
Okay, so on that note then, looking ahead to the next 12 months until we probably have this discussion at next year's SUBSEA EXPO, what the priorities are for Verlume?
I think in the next year, what we found is now that people are aware that they can get power on the seabed. People are always looking for data, they're always looking for information. And there's a huge increase in terms of activity offshore, irrespective of what market. So we're seeing a real kind of pull through for being able to provide, I say small scale, and small scale for us is something the size of an electric car, energy in the seabed. So we haven't kind of launched the product yet, but we've had a number of sales for our smaller battery packs, and that's really kind of driving the kind of growth of the business at the moment. So we're really, hopefully in the next kind of 12 months, we'll really see that continue to grow and able to kind of provide a more structured product that really kind of ties to what people need as we get more information from the market. So yeah, it's still all exciting stuff.
Well, certainly look forward to reading more successes for Verlume over the next 12 months. Thank you very much for joining us. It's good to get your views. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks very much, Kirsten.